Hello and welcome to Network. My name is Spumele Lizondi with your technology and social media news. Remember that if you want to be a part of this technology conversation, you can find us on SABC Network. Now that's on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. You can also use the hashtag SABC Network. Here's what's coming up in the program. MTN has demonstrated a use case for 5G technology. Imagine a driver who can't see where he is going. We go to Uganda to find out about young people who have an innovation to test malaria without any blood involved. With Liberty's massive data breach, we ask how secure companies generally are. Tony Teko from Preaching Technologies is here for that one. Hello and thank you very much for being a part of our network.
Thank you for having me.
How secure is our data with these companies?
Currently, the resounding no. It's not that secure, but it should evolve to be secure over a period of time.
All right, we'll have a deeper discussion about that later in the program. But first, let's start with your technology and social media news. 5G is expected to launch in South Africa in under 4 years. This is later than some parts of the world. This is because spectrum needed for it is held up in the delay of digital migration of television. But some are already showcasing where 5G can work. One of them is the near future of self-driving cars. First, the car's windows are blocked. Then the driver is given virtual reality goggles to rely on. The car has cameras on the outside that are guiding the driver. All this works because the car is enabled with what MTN and Ericsson say is 5G technology.
For the car, what's critical when you're going to drive a car almost blindfolded, right? What you want is for the first reliability on what you see on your virtual reality glasses, that what you see around you is the correct information. So that's one part. Then you want the information to be very, that have no delays at all, right? So there's zero latency that happens. So when something gets moved, it moves directly from a remote site. So those are the key elements.
MTN says 5G won't roll out in South Africa when other parts of the world begin rolling it out.
We would love to roll it out. I think we still do have some challenges with the spectrum. We do know that there's still a bit of work that needs to be done to get TV off to allow us with a little bit more, but we are working with ICASA and we really do need more spectrum to do this large scale.
They say this tech is needed for a better functioning future.
I think travel, logistics, health. You might have a patient that are 200 kilometers away from the only surgeon in the area. However, you might have equipment. So then you can actually use technology like this and make it really applicable to every person in the street.
A timeline that at least one speaker at the event mentioned for the rollout in South Africa is somewhere between 2020 and 2022. 25-year-old Brian Gita has received the Africa Prize for Engineering. He and his team in Kampala in Uganda have created a malaria test that doesn't prick for blood. It's called matibabu, a Swahili word for treatment. Brian sent us this video where he tells us all about it.
Matibabu is a technology, probably a kit that we developed and is aimed at diagnosing for malaria. And the technology works in a way that when a person is infected with malaria, the plasmodium that causes malaria feeds and excretes when in the red blood cell. So using the properties of light and magnetism, we are actually looking out for these excretes and other parameters to detect whether the person has malaria or not. We are going in for a clinical trial, more like a diagnostic study. We want to really assess the efficiency of the Matibabu device as compared to the gold standards that there is in the market, that is the microscopy. So we are not on the market yet, but we're working hard to make sure that we have our MVP that we are developing for health facilities go to the market as soon as possible. We all have had vast episodes of malaria, And for the team having a background in computer science, engineering and electronics, we all came together to see that we can use the skills we have to actually develop a solution that can create change in our communities. And that's how we came to focus directly to malaria.
Now, this will be a bit sensitive for some. A selfie with a python has gone wrong in India. This is how our mobile phones can be dangerous for us. The python tried to strangle the forest ranger. The ranger had been called in by villagers who had seen the 5.5 meters long snake swallowing a goat. People got their cell phones out and he tried to take a selfie with the snake on him. That's when the python attempted to strangle the ranger. He struggled there a little bit but escaped unharmed. Some situations are just not for your phone and that selfie. And after the break, we chat to Tloniteko from Pre-Tune Technologies about company hackings. Stay with us.
And shut up, you stay nasal and listen.
The Honourable President told me to shut up.
It's up to the leadership of the DA, whether we continue to fight like they're doing now, or we put the people of the city of Cape Town first.
It has been deeply disappointing in some ways that Mayor Dillon has not displayed a similar regard for the best interests of the party.
You must go, Chief. You call me a dog here.
I also want to take this opportunity to thank the African National Congress for the deployment and for the ANC to agree that one must go on early retirement.
Ma, come back and leave after giving us a signal.
Why should umntana makashonile bangasho?
For what did they die?
Ngifuna i-death certificate yomntwana, ngifuna i-paperwork yasesibhedlela.
Back-to-back victories for Gongmusa Mtembu, his second down-run victory.
It was very emotional, you know. I've been putting a lot of work on my training. I'm very happy. Coach is amazing.
Just completely unexpected, just a dream come true.
It is SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. Now, after Liberty was hacked, many are now worried about the safety of their data. The company says a criminal investigation has been opened. Here's Liberty Live CEO David Monroe.
We chose to proactively contact our customers before we contacted the media to let them know that there was something that had happened to us. We wanted them to be aware of that. We also wanted to make sure that the customers knew that we were on top of the situation and they didn't hear from somebody else first. That was why we felt it was important for us to enter the public domain and to share with the public what had happened, most importantly because we were respecting our duty of care to our customers. We also then think generally that this is an issue that society has to be aware of. We as a society are confronted with what we call the digital revolution, the advancement of digital businesses. And as these businesses advance and we all become more proficient to deal with each other online, we have to understand that all of us become more and more vulnerable to cybercrime.
To further this discussion is Hloniteko from Pre-Tune Technologies. Hello, and thank you very much for joining us, sir.
Thank you so much for having me, Skumelela.
What happened there?
Well, essentially, information which is privately guarded by the company, in this case Liberty, had been shared, or rather taken unsolicited, without the company's permission, essentially.
And is this the norm? Can this happen? Has it happened before, or was it unusual?
Well, this is an unusual case, and probably one of the more pioneering cases as far as cybersecurity or cybercrime has been committed in South Africa. But it's not the first. Cybersecurity crimes do happen in South Africa, but they've generally been underreported.
Liberty has said that they have opened a criminal investigation, a criminal case. Is it possible that they would know who this is if they're opening a case?
At this point in time would be purely speculating, but then from our understanding is that they've actually been having ongoing investigations with regards to the case itself. And then obviously, as and when they feel the need to report to the public, all of us will get further information.
All right, so let's move away from Liberty. Let's talk now broadly about cybersecurity. How much of a problem is it?
Cybersecurity has now become one of the more mainstream things as far as ICT and IT-related end-to-end business runs, whether it be from a corporate perspective or also, more importantly, from a personal perspective.
And when you talk cybersecurity, what are we talking about?
We're talking about the guarding of one's information that's readily available or can be available online.
Companies deal with a lot of data. Sometimes, actually, before the POPI Act comes in, we all get phone calls from people who have information without our permission, trying to sell us one thing or another. Could that information be obtained through cybercrime?
Obviously, any information that's available could be available through cybercrime. As has happened, a lot of businesses are now moving to digital migration in terms of how they run themselves. And what has happened is that cybercrime, especially in the last 18 months, has moved on from being something that's virtual, that's having real-life effects.
There's also a case of social media, because that's how a lot of people sometimes understand it, because you sometimes hear people saying, well, I don't have access to my Twitter account, or I don't have access to my Facebook account. Companies can fall prey to that too, right?
True. That is very true. Because companies, obviously, in some cases also have got global email addresses that they use in certain departments. For example, a major corporation would have a marketing email account that's used by more than one user. And what would happen is that if one person who has access to that particular email address would then leave the company, but then they generally forget to change the passwords of that particular account.
How often should those changes happen? Because people leave companies quite regularly. How often should those passwords be changed?
Well, an exact period cannot be given, but then it should be changed to mitigate people who've left the company having access to it, to the information, or having access to email addresses, which can then be used to access information within the company itself. And it's something that, even from a personal perspective, you should be able to regularly change your passwords, not only for emails, but then also for other various platforms, including your banking codes, if you give them out.
But it's also not just people that you know physically that have had access to your passwords and other information that can hack into your systems. I mean, it can be done through other means, no?
Definitely can be done through other means. I mean, there are many various technologies that actually been used, especially globally, not necessarily prominent in South Africa. Something like spoofing and a lot of other phishing as well.
I explain that a little bit. What's spoofing, what's phishing for someone who wouldn't know what it is?
Spoofing is when you actually get a link or get or get invited to a website which appears like a legitimate website representing either a financial services company or a services that you would necessarily want to be to acquire. And then what would happen is that they would actually ask you, the website would ask you for information that would ultimately, you'd be prompted to give out all your private information. And then phishing is when there's a code that's written, and what would happen is that the code itself would actually look for password, would actually literally mine out password until it comes across something that can unlock your email or whatever platform that's actually trying to get access to.
So one person from a company can open a link, and that link can compromise the whole system of the company.
It depends on the coding that's actually put on, the type of coding or the type of malware that's put on that particular link or the program that the intruder is actually trying to introduce to the company. Obviously, once something has got access to the server, the company server, it can actually start mining for information, and depending on the type of commands that the hacker's actually using, they look for the type of information that they want to further their own ends.
And do we have laws and regulations as South Africa that look at cybercrime, that deal with cybercrime?
At this point in time, we're still at the very beginning stages of it. We don't have laws that govern that's as prominent as other countries. For example, the United States, UK, the European Union has got a lot of laws that actually govern cybersecurity. We're actually still at the back of the curve.
All right, sure. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Hloni Teko there is from Pre-Tune Technologies. Now, this week we caught up with our SABC weatherman, Spesihle Kunene, and he told us what his favorite piece of technology is.
Greetings. My favorite piece of technology is actually the simplest one, and it's probably in your pocket right now. It's your phone. This one of mine actually has a lot of capabilities. You've got your camera, you've got your phone, you can call, take pictures, videos, but most of all, the one thing that's very, very important in the phone is the fact that it has the internet. With the internet, if you know the right website, you can find anything that you need, from information to fun stuff, videos, games, to anything that you can think of. If you can think about it, it actually exists somewhere in the internet world. So the phone is actually, I think, one of the things that you use mostly, and is my favorite thing.
News at 9. We go beyond the headlines of the day and breaking news to bring you all the angles and in-depth analysis of stories that impact your life. We are on the ball with all economic stories. Our bureaus around the globe are ready to connect you to events as and when they happen. So join us every day at 9 to zoom in on the day's big stories.
How safe is social media? 25 years into democracy and we're still battling with apartheid. Are we really the so-called rainbow nation?
If we can go there, they will beat us something or chase us away or kill you.
Not forgetting the dangers of substance abuse.
When he brought those things and came to us, it was looking so tasty with crushed lemons and strawberry and colorful straws.
Importance of education for all. Is the judiciary and government failing the people of South Africa? These are some of our stories on Cutting Edge. Catch it every Sunday at 5:30.
SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you very much for staying with us. Let's take a look at what made headlines in the rest of the tech world.
Chinese e-commerce giant JD.com announced on Monday it has secured investment worth $550 million from Google as part of a new strategic partnership between the two leading technology companies. The bilateral cooperation will combine the advantages of JD.com in supply chain and logistics and Google's technology strengths. JD.com also plans to make a selection of products available for sale through Google Shopping in multiple regions around the world. The two sides will jointly explore and develop solutions to a next generation of retail infrastructure to provide consumers with valuable, individualized, smooth, swift, and convenient shopping experiences. Facebook Inc.-owned social network Instagram said on Wednesday, June 20th, it was adding a section dedicated to long-form video, expanding beyond its photo-sharing app roots in a competition among streaming services for consumers' time. Instagram's chief executive Kevin Systrom said at an event in San Francisco that the section would be called IGTV and feature videos from rising internet celebrities and artists. Instagram recently surpassed 1 billion monthly active users, Systrom told reporters, staffers, and video creators gathered at a warehouse used to announce the video expansion. Instagram, which Facebook bought in 2012 for $1 billion, has grown an app originally made for sharing photos into a service that people use to send messages and post short videos. It has slowly added various kinds of advertising. Adapting the features of other mobile apps has helped drive Instagram's growth. In 2016, it added the ability to post slides that appear in 24 hours, a copy of Snapchat's popular Stories feature. Now heading over to China. A China-Slovenia supercomputer project has begun to yield win-win results for both sides since its launch last year. The system was developed at the Octer Data Center, designed and built by Octer in the Slovenian town of Nova Gorica, while its high-performance infrastructure was independently developed by Sugan. The system has brought to Octer many clients who need to test the designs of their products before they enter production, such as aircraft and automotive manufacturers. The system's simulations can drastically cut costs associated with product development. It is also used for weather forecast models and simulations, as well as any calculations related to the dynamics of fluids. For Sugan, the system marks one major breakthrough for the Chinese company to explore the European market. Elias added that continued investment would be needed since rapid advancements in technology means Octer needs a new supercomputer about every 5 years. With expanding demand for supercomputer services around the world, Elias is overwhelmingly optimistic about the future.
And Wikipedia has highlighted the need for more Africans to be information contributors on the site. On Twitter, we ask if you have ever added or edited any information on Wikipedia. Now, 19% of respondents say yes, they have edited their information. 44% say no, they haven't added anything yet. That number is in the majority. At 26% are people who don't know how to do it, and 11% says they have no idea what Wikipedia is. Where do you get your information from if you have no idea what Wikipedia is? And that's all we have for you. Find us on SABC Network. That's on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Use network at sabc.co.za. We leave you with a trailer of The Incredible, the animated sequel, which comes 14 years after the original hit theaters. And it took a massive $18.5 million. Now, from me and the rest of the network team, have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bring supers back into the sunlight. We need to change people's perceptions about superheroes, and Elastigirl is our best play.
Better than me?
Whoa! I like Mom's new job! Bye, sweetie.
I'll watch the kids, no problem.
That's not the way you're supposed to do it, Dad. They want us to do it this way.
I don't know that way. Why would they change math? Math is math.
Okay,
math
Dad.
is math. Hello?
Hey, honey. How are the kids?
Everything's great.
Is she having adolescence? And Jack?
He's in excellent health.
Whoa, what the?
Num num cookie.
Oh my God.
Cookie.
Wow, gay. That is freaky.
You know what's crazy, right? To help my family, I gotta